All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. Trailer reaction for Venom, The Last Dance. No, it is not a Bulls documentary. It is a third Venom movie. Never in my days did I think we'd be here, but here we are. Tom Hardy is back as Venom. The Last Dance. David Thompson, biggest Spider-Man fan I know. Sony is yeah, Sony is putting out their golden child, the only one of these movies that have made any sort of money. And
Yeah,
for the Last Dance and one more round, the third of a trilogy for Tom Hardy's Venom. Your thoughts, feelings, and concerns after watching the Last Dance trailer?
more of the same, right? Pretty much exactly what I expected. Didn't get even a slight chuckle out of me during that opening bit of like the "We are Venom" and trying to sync
Hmm.
that up. Just
Hmm.
complete stone cold face. If I was in a theater with people, maybe a slight chuckle, but just watching it, absolutely nothing. Look, like I said, it is just more of the same of this universe, of this story. But to me, the biggest thing that stood out is there is hope. So it seems like the planet Clintar, which is where Venom's from, right? Like aliens, people, beings from there, maybe not people,
Hmm.
but symbiotes and aliens, they're coming, right? We see that shot of like the meteors coming down on Earth. And my question to you, and I want your overall thoughts as well, which I kind of probably already expect, but just to dive into it a little bit, my first thought is what we've been discussing with Fantastic Four and Galactus, and how what if at the end of that movie, Galactus basically destroys that universe, leading the Fantastic Four into the MCU?
Hmm.
What if the symbiotes or whatever, right? These people from Venom's world basically kill off that universe, get rid of that Eddie Brock, and then we move into what could be the future of Spider-Man 4 with a new symbiote. And there's so much to discuss because in this trailer, there's like a seemingly a retcon scene of the end of No Way Home with the
A little
symbiote,
bit, yeah.
which doesn't make any sense because that's supposed to be in the MCU, and you see Tom Hardy glow away at the end of that movie. So I don't buy it quite yet, but I feel like there is a way where this is the last dance. We kind of put to bed Tom Hardy, Eddie Brock, and then it maybe resets a little bit for Spider-Man in the MCU, but we'll see. I mean, I do think that there is a very high possibility they both don't make it out of this alive because it is the last dance, and I think it's supposed to be the last of a trilogy, and they should put a bow on this franchise, I would say.
Which makes it all the more weird that Craven's coming out after this, which makes it all
Terrible.
the more
It's
interesting.
well, I mean, is
Um,
this not the Aquaman thing? Literally
it's
again,
exactly what it is. It's
right?
exactly what it is. Yeah.
And the quotes coming out on that real quick of like, or just the reporting, not quotes, of like, hey, they wanted to do it so it was an R-rated movie during the holiday season, and that would be its own specific niche. And I don't know. I mean, obviously they're running some kind of analytics or some kind of
Yeah.
process
There's
to
reason.
do that. Yeah, reasoning. But yeah, that just a complete lame duck, that movie.
Tough. That's tough. The overall thoughts real quick on Venom Last
Hmm.
Dance before we get into kind of the predictions of it all. Shout out Ted Lasso. You know what I mean? Juno Temple, Cristo Fernandez back in the Venom verse.
Yeah.
Uh, Great to see Juno Temple anywhere. She's wonderful. Shout out The Dark Knight Rises. Cristo Fernandez, Danny Rojas, I met in an airport on my first day of my European trip.
That's right. Yeah, I remember those photos.
Yeah, my very first day, we met Danny Rojas in an airport, and my very last day, we went to the Ted Lasso bar. So that was really fun. It's
That's
good to
cool.
see him back. Yeah, the trailer overall, you couldn't be more right. More of the same jokes, the same, Venom Tom Hardy relationship, just more of this buddy buddy thing. Which, has had moments, but has never sustained an entire movie for me. I do want to
Hmm.
shout out the action because it does look cool. It does look fun. I think the second one, Let There Be Carnage,
Yeah.
I don't think capitalized on how cool Venom action could be. The first one I think had good action scenes. It was more so like we had never seen live action Venom do that much, right? So like it was new and fresh, and I think that's what held a lot of the first one together within these movies, at least a little bit.
The
There was a
origin
lot
of
of
it
Venom
all.
traversing in the
Yeah.
first one, a lot of him going from A to B, which was cool at first, and then they kept doing it over and over and over again. But no, I think they are. The action looks cool. I like the scene in that opening one in that warehouse where it looks like Venom is like throwing Eddie into a drop kick kind of thing. Like that's a cool little moveset thing. So they're at least having fun with that part. And that is
Yeah.
with movies like this, I'm looking for anything redeemable. In the Sony Spider-Man stuff, I'm looking for any sort of redeemability.
Sure. We'll
Yeah,
roll with
I
that.
think that checks
Redeemability.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking for any of that. And I think the action could be that here. You're right though on that joke. That's the same joke we've been hearing from these two for 3 years now.
One action scene I want to point out too that I think might go under the radar because it wasn't as heavy CGI is it seems like Tuichel Ejiofor, is that how you say his
Oh
name?
yeah, he's great.
In this movie, by the way, as a military leader, and I have the trailer pulled up here. You see like all these soldiers hanging off of like a helicopter or
Uh-huh.
like a thing, and then they jump down and they're like tasing Venom in the water. That's a really cool looking visual to me, and like they're getting hunted down by these military leaders, and then Ejiofor, his character, I don't know the name of. I don't know if we know the name of it yet.
Baron Mordo.
Baron Mort.
Baron Mordo. That's what he's playing.
In this one too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
Okay.
Fuck it.
Well, Mordo in this movie is some kind of military leader who also seems to have some kind of understanding of symbiotes, or at least has learned about them. Because we get the bar scene where he collects the one, and then we also get him talking in the lab with Homegirl about, like how they're coming essentially, or something like that, where it's like he has this like, we have an enemy coming that no one can stop, or something like that. I don't know. It's like he has some kind of understanding. So the plot seems totally murky. They definitely like tried in this trailer to show off moments more than like what's actually happening, which is fine. And I think I will say, like, for people who like the Venom movies and went and saw at least the first one in theaters, I honestly feel like this is selling the movie pretty well for what
Absolutely.
people want to see.
I think for these movies, especially after Let There Be Carnage, less plot the better. I mean, the
Yeah.
bar is lower on these Sony movies than they were after the first Venom. I think that's a thing to go with. You know what I mean? This looks like the first Venom again. The military knows about the symbiotes. They're trying to do something about it, right? And guess what? A few other ones get out. That's just kind of what happens, right? And Ejiofor, who is great, and I'm so happy he's getting these types of roles. This role in Sony movies, these Sony Spider-Man movies, this role he's playing, never good. It's
No.
never good. It's never awesome. It always sucks. So that is a bummer for him, especially because Juno seems to be his, gal Friday on all this, and I love her, Keely. But I think I agree with you. Like that scene with the
Alien
soldiers,
the
soldiers hanging from the helicopter thing.
Yeah,
that's Fast and Furious as hell. Like that is just a Fast and Furious scene. And I think the more of that, the less plot, the more we're gonna enjoy this movie. You know what I mean? And I think it's gotten to a point where Tom Hardy has been Venom enough, and people appreciate him as Venom enough. And when I say people, I mean general public. I don't like him at all. I think it's a really bad character, but people do like this Venom. Tie a bunch of cool action scenes with just some sort of emotional beat between those two at the end, we could have a pretty decent movie. This trailer is better than any other Sony trailer we've gotten since the first Venom.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It looks better produced. It looks more intentional in what they're trying to say this movie is. And I think that they did a good job at least putting some things out there that could be the highlights of this movie. And I think that's what you need. I don't think it's going to make a ton of money, but I think you need to sell good. I think you need to sell the good parts of your movie after Let There Be Carnage, Morbius, and Madam Web, because those are three really bad movies, like genuinely bad movies that made no money.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to just sell the highlights. Don't get cute with the Venom Last Dance marketing. Sell the Tom Hardy thing, sell the action that they seem to be having fun with, and put as many Ted Lasso characters as you can in it. And I think people might show up.
Sell the Venom horse.
Venom horse is amazing. That's do as much of that as you can. That's awesome. Like let's do what we're thinking they're gonna do in Deadpool with the Venom thing. Like as many versions of Venom as you can get. Venom horse was awesome, and I'm glad we hadn't talked about it yet, because that's kind of stuff That, the opening scene, like I said, with the different moveset, him and Eddie working together, and that Fast and Furious type scene that you talked about. I think there's a lot of cool things that they're trying to do, and I appreciate that because Let There Be Carnage, let's be honest, they just didn't try to do anything fun. They thought Carnage would be enough. They thought having a red one in there would be enough to make the movie cool. They forgot to make a movie around it, right? And
Yeah.
then you have Morbius and Madam Web, which are just poor put together.
Abominations. Yeah.
So at least have fun. At the very least, have fun.
Mhm.
And just have don't I don't want like a super intricate plot here. I just want something very straightforward. They're aliens, they're coming. Who do we have to fix it? This Tom Hardy guy. You
Right.
know, I think he could do it. As far as down the line, what this means for the Sony universe. Again, the fact that Craven comes out in December absolutely sucks because it puts that movie is just lame duck is such a perfect word for it. It's in the middle and it's got no shot, man. It's got no shot.
And it's definitely really bad too. Like they have no confidence with it. Like I think that move is it's delaying it a bit, and it's also trying to put in a spot where maybe it's almost even more forgivable if it doesn't make a lot of money, and you are kind of like being like, hey, it's for the niche R-rated audience, not like this. It's not like standing on its own in December trying to gross this like huge amount. We'll see.
I think it's getting out of Venom's way. Honestly, I think they don't want people to see Craven before Venom because
No
man,
momentum then that
no
way.
momentum. It's
Right.
already very low momentum,
Right. Maybe they think they have a better product than Venom, and then that can work the inverse of that, where it's like, okay, Venom was pretty cool. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll go see Craven.
It raises the ceiling need of Craven if Venom does well. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Craven doesn't need to perform as well if Venom does perform well.
I think it will, by the way.
Right. And it the thing is the first one almost made $1 billion. So like
Yeah.
what's the range of good in this point? But that's another conversation as we get closer to the movie, I think, because I think Deadpool's going to redefine the goals of the box office for the second half of the year. But as far as universe stuff moving forward, they do fortunately have a good opportunity, kind of like we talked about with Days of Future Past, where they can put a good bow on the Tom Hardy Venom thing. Good is relative, but I think they could put a bow on the Tom Hardy Venom thing and still have that post-credit scene, still have that cliffhanger of this, what's happening with this universe, what's happening with this symbiote, and maybe pitch to a Spider-Man 4 or whatever it might be, if that's what they want to do, or just leave it ambiguous, the symbiote's still out there kind of thing. It doesn't need to be this Venom.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means necessarily as far as like, is it whatever, but like just you can cliffhang the symbiote and not have to have Tom Hardy attached, which I think they're marketing as, what's the poster? Sorry, just turn it on. Till death do they part. Till death do they part. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They can separate. You can put a bow on that and you can have the symbiote still out there, which is a good cliffhanger. I think it's a good handoff.
Which is like, by the way, on that point, you see that shot of Ejiofor in the bar. Seemingly same bar, collecting the symbiote, and it's like that makes no sense. That was supposed to be in the MCU, unless it is some like parallel multiverse thing. But it's like, what is like you can't retcon that because literally what you just described is kind of what they already did in a way. They did separate. Yeah. They had the symbiote left behind, where now people are theorizing in Spider-Man 4 that could be a part of the story. They could change that though. Like this could be a way to retcon that and then do it in a different way. But let's not get too complicated. Oh, by the way, there is going to probably be Thompson in this movie. I don't know if you noticed. I forget the actor's name, but he's like that detective that's been in these movies, and he's like locked up in this film.
Oh, sure.
The trailer. He I think is going to be Thompson. Yeah. So I think he's going to have like he's going to be another symbiote that pops up, and so expect that. Fans out there are gonna go see the movie. Yeah, in a I would say in like a positive or a negative way, because like that thing that will I think make things a little bit more convoluted. And now it's like we gotta fight this guy too, where he's already got. I wonder when in the movie, maybe we see Toxin, and then also when we get those aliens coming down in the plane sequence. Like that seems like a crazy moment in the film. So I don't know, like I'm curious runtime wise. Let There Be Carnage was like 90 minutes, and that kind of helped it be like just get through it and like have a little bit of fun and just kind of like see Woody Harrelson and had that one moment where he bites off his head. That was kind of fun. But this one I feel like it will be a little bit more of a story, more like the first movie. And honestly, like I said, at the end of the day, what they're selling I think is perfect for this movie. I think people
think
kind
so
of like they like seeing Tom Hardy as Venom with Venom, that back and forth, and that's exactly what they're selling here with a lot of seemingly fun action, and that actually looks pretty good.
Push Venom Horse as much as you can, because that was sick. I mean,
The
that was
next
cool. I
the
hate
next
these movies.
popcorn
Love
bucket.
that. That
Yeah.
was very cool.
Yeah.
Over under 105 minutes. I think that's the line. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a great line, man. I would go slightly under. I think they're really
Yeah,
gonna try to push it. The
not
reason I'm
too
going,
much though.
no, I'd honestly say push. But with all that, I do think in the trailer I noticed that Tom Hardy's wearing that Golden State Warriors shirt for a good amount of it. So I almost think maybe the movie opens up with like that long sequence, and it's like a
Yeah.
very long opening where it's like there's those guys, those goons they take care of, and then like the whole thing with the military happens, and it's just like, what is going on? It's a full like
Hmm.
crazy whiplash at the beginning, and then we kind of get the exposition and the understanding of like more what's happening, and the symbiote explaining and stuff like that.
Eddie Brock's no good, terribly awful day. Like, you're just having a bad day. It's
Yeah.
a bad day.
And I like movies. I honestly, I mean, I go back and forth, but I kind of prefer movies, especially like this, where it is a couple of days. It's like
Mhm.
it's very high paced. It's a few days of figuring it out. A bunch of crazy shit happens. That sounds like a lot of fun to me.
Last thing, what do we think of the David Bowie? Space obviously is a part of the movie. I liked it.
Yeah,
I thought it was fun.
me
Any
too.
any slow piano rendition of a popular song I've always
Yeah,
loved. I'm never
exactly.
not a part of it.
It always works. This movie's gonna play well in theaters.
Mhm.
I mean, the trailer's gonna play well in theaters.
Yeah,
I think
I
like
think so too.
this showing before whatever's coming out next. Maybe not Inside Out too. But like
I hope not.
it's funny.
Yeah.
Not Inside Out too, but we have Quiet Place, obviously Deadpool next
Yeah.
month, all those things. It's gonna play
It'll get
well,
play.
and I like
Beetlejuice.
it's. Speaking of like the whole Craven Sony rearrange, late October is the perfect time for this movie to release.
Venom
Perfect.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. Surprisingly happy with the trailer. I think that's my final stamp on it.
Mhm.
We will get more as this movie gets closer. It's coming up faster than I think I anticipated. I figured this would be a much longer marketing campaign, but Craven was first. So I think that's why, we're getting it now. But yeah, we will react more as more news comes out. But until next time, we'll see you then.